Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm late and I'm coughing this morning. So yes, I know. I'm sorry I was late this morning. I'm behind on things, but I am here. Thank you for hanging on and being here with me this morning. Late as it is. Sorry about that. Things going on around here. I hope you're having a wonderful morning. I hope you are having an absolutely wonderful morning. Good morning. We got Lynn here. James is here. Zero the Blade is here. James says, good thing we got Van Damme in the new Mortal Kombat before the strike was authorized. Okay. Hey, Multiverse DM says, hi, Heath. Always appreciate your show. Thank you. Thank you. I want this, I've been thinking a lot about, good morning, Andrew. Good morning. I've been thinking a lot about branding across everything that we're doing a lot over the past month. I know I've talked about that before, and that's why I've been moving things to other channels and things like that. Eventually, we're going to have to come back over here to this channel and this show and think about branding here, because I do want this to be the best morning show in the Geekverse. I would absolutely love it if this were the best morning show in the Geekverse, where everybody. I was thinking something on Dropbox. I just stopped that. So if I'm choppy, should have better signal here in a moment. But I would love it if this were the best place in the Geekverse to start your morning, start my morning, start your morning, and have a great show, every morning. I enjoy it so much. But I'm also think about, the branding of this as the best morning show in the Geekverse, talking about different topics, having discussions, because I think the discussions that we have on this show are absolutely fantastic. I got a new monitor, by the way. I'm broadcasting here with a new monitor. And finally, because I had a broken monitor. I had a really good monitor, and then it was damaged. And unfortunately damaged. And so I've been using an old monitor for several months. And now I finally got a new large monitor. I don't know what size this is, but this is a much larger monitor. Man, I've got some serious screen real estate. This is going to be great for doing things like dinner and a board game when I need extra space to be able to put like the game and then also the broadcast and maybe something like some other screen share or something like that. I now got the space to do it. I feel like, man, this is some serious broadcasting over here. So today, we're going to talk about this probably isn't going to be a long episode today. Come in a bit late, but I want to talk about, I saw the stuff about the SAG-AFTRA with relation to video games. And then also on the same kind of subject, I was sent a thread on the website formerly known as Twitter. You may call it Twitter, but we now call it X, about the situation with the writers on strike. And it seems like things are getting pretty desperate for them. It seems like things are getting pretty desperate. And I don't know really what to do about that. I hear a lot of Cameron's perspective on the strike because I'm a part of his Patreon. And of course, this is affecting Cameron personally. I mean, he's trying to develop his shows. He's been trying to pitch. I'd really like to eventually also be able to talk to Cameron about the TV shows that he's trying to pitch and that he's been writing himself. And it would be fantastic if he were a showrunner on historical fiction. I think he's got 2 that he's been working on, both of them historical fiction shows. Historical, I mean, I don't know if you actually call them drama, but like historical dramas set in certain periods. Sound really neat to me, and I would love to know more about that whole situation. But I know that this has been affecting him because all of that seemed to be going very well for him, and then we got the strike, so I know he's had to stop, all of that. We haven't really gotten to talk to him on that subject, but so I know it's personally impacting him, and he seems when he posts on the Patreon he doesn't seem. He is, and I think he's talked about this on other channels, unhappy with the WGA's leadership and doesn't particularly feel that they are representing their demands on the whole are beneficial to him. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but that overall the leadership he does not feel is representing the writers well. That much is for sure, particularly regarding some of the demands they are making that he regards as unrealistic. So my point is I get a lot of the strike information from him. So I get his perspective on things, which is that perspective on things. I know some other people were talking about on the stream the other day. Wait, what was his name? That you need to go check out another person who is active on YouTube, who I think is guild leadership. What was the name? Hang on. Because the name came up in one of Cameron's Patreon posts. And I went, I think that was somebody who had been brought up in our comments section to say that we should go and consider his perspective as well. So I believe that was. Oh, was it Adam Conover? Was it Adam Conover? I bet that's who it was. Because I also had just seen this post the other day No, actually, it was yesterday. It was yesterday when the WGA leadership apparently made a lot of the WGA very angry because there's some kind of election going on for WGA leadership. And they sent out some type of email. So it says, so Cameron reports right here. I'll give you his, this is his opening paragraph here. This is in his Patreon. So I'm not just going to post, but here's like what Cameron says. The fake writer clown, Adam Conover, who is deeply despised by working writers, has set off a wave of fury among those same working writers this morning. This was yesterday. There is currently an election for a Writers Guild leadership going on, but it's the old Soviet-style election where all the candidates have been pre-selected by the current regime. To add insult to injury, Conover, the most hated member of the Politburo, just sent an email telling writers to only vote for incumbents, including himself. And then there was a lot more about that. And a lot of writers were very unhappy that they're getting emails saying, well, we're under election here, but here's the appropriate people to vote for. And you need to vote only for the incumbents and myself. So I don't know. Good morning, PH. Good morning, PH. So, but anyway, I saw this, and this was posted to the News for the Grind section of, let's see. The Raven Keep Discord server. I'm going to post a link to that. I've got to work on the Raven Keep Discord server. I just have not gotten back around to working on the Discord server. But if you're new here, let me post a link to the Raven Keep Discord server, because there is a place called News for the Grind. And if you see something that we should be covering on the morning show, you're welcome to post in there. And let's see right here. Present. This was a few days ago, and I think we need to thank very much. Let's see who posted this link. Oh, Jappards. Jappards posted this link. So thank you very much to Jappards. I don't know if he's in the chat right now, but thank you very much for Jappards, because yes, I think we should definitely take a look at this, because I had briefly seen something about SAG. This is SAG-AFTRA. This is different from the WGA. They're striking both together now, but that I didn't realize that, okay, yes, apparently there are different contracts, like SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Guild, has contracts with the movie and TV industry, and that's what's being on strike right now. But apparently, if you are a member of this union, the SAG-AFTRA, you could still be working in the video game industry. They're striking as far as the film and TV industry goes, but that you could still get work in the video game industry. Is that everybody's understanding of that? Somebody understanding who have people's understanding who might have more of an understanding on this than I do? That appears to be the situation. But as of just a few days ago, SAG-AFTRA gears up for a possible strike against the video game industry as board approves authorization vote by guild membership. Let me see what's happening here. So they may be going on strike with regard to video games as well. So this says, what is the situation here? SAG-AFTRA, which has been on strike against film and scripted TV productions since July 14th, which is later than the WGA, is gearing up for another possible strike, this one against the video game industry. The Guild's last strike against the gaming companies in 2016 and 2017 lasted 183 days. I didn't realize that happened. I guess that's because, especially at that time, I'm not really into the video game side of things. I'm very casual kind of video game player. So apparently they did go on strike against the gaming industry in 2016, 183 days. That's a long time. We're now well past the 120-day mark on the WGA strike. But we're not at 183 days. That's a long time. That's a long time. The Guild's national board has voted unanimously to send a strike authorization vote to members in preparation of its upcoming bargaining dates with 10 signatory video game companies. Voting for the strike authorization will begin on September 5 and end September 25th. Here we go again, said SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher. Now our interactive video game agreement is at a stalemate too. Once again, we're facing employer greed and disrespect. Once again, artificial intelligence is putting our members in jeopardy of reducing their opportunity to work. And once again, SAG-AFTRA is standing up to tyranny on behalf of its members. The overlap of these two SAG-AFTRA agreements, she said, is no coincidence, but rather a predictable issue impacting our industry as well as others all over the world. The disease of greed is spreading like wildfire, ready to burn workers out of their livelihood and humans out of their usefulness. We at SAG-AFTRA say no, not on our watch. So the 10 companies facing a possible strike are Activision Productions, Blind Light, Disney Character Voices, Electronic Arts Production, Epic Games, Formosa Interactive, Insomniac Games, Take-Two Productions, VoiceWorks Production, and WB Games. I suppose, especially if you are in the more in the video game side of things, I recognize some of those companies. I don't recognize some of the others, but if you're in the video game side of things and you're a video gamer, I bet you do. So Audrey Cooling, a spokesperson for the video game company, said, we all want a fair contract that reflects the important contributions of SAG-AFTRA represented performers in an industry that delivers world-class entertainment to billions of players around the world. We are negotiating in good faith and hope to reach a mutually beneficial deal as soon as possible. It has been nearly a year since SAG-AFTRA's video game contract. The interactive media agreement was extended beyond the original expiration date as we negotiated with the companies for critical terms SAG-AFTRA members needed, the Guild said in a statement. Unfortunately, throughout the negotiations, the company have failed to address those needs. For this reason, the negotiating committee and national board unanimously agreed the union should have a member-approved strike authorization in hand when bargaining resumes on September 26th. So I was wondering what the current state here. This was a few days ago that this article came out. So I guess there really hasn't been too much of a change in status if they're going to resume bargaining on the 26th. Although key issues like wages keep up with inflation and protections against unrestrained use of artificial intelligence are common sticking points in negotiations, the interactive media video game agreement is a separate contract from the TV, theatrical, and streaming contracts against which SAG-AFTRA members are currently striking. I want to talk more about, I've tried really to talk more about this, Michael. Michael says the entertainment industries continue to eat themselves, hail the rise of the independent creators. Unfortunately, we've talked about this before, and I would still like to talk with more people about that, especially on Table Talk. The lack of infrastructure on independent TV and film side of things. I think we desperately need it. I would like to talk about that more even on here on the morning grind, because I set up a business plan for what the business plan would be to be able to produce things independently. And then I talked to Paul Chatto about this. Now, he was kind of skeptical that it could be done independently. He may be right. He thought there were other reasons why it's not possible to really have the infrastructure for independent TV or film entertainment, which I talked about. Actually, I'm not sure if that episode has been reloaded to the Table Talk side of things, but he and I had that conversation a while back ago. And I don't think that dialogue really hasn't gone anywhere, because he kind of changed focus on what he has been, focused on his channel and so forth. I forget where I was going that, but it would be great to have additional independent creators. I've been trying to figure out how to get that underway. But one of the main issues is this is an expensive industry. I mean, it's very expensive to do TV. It's very expensive to do film. It's very expensive to do video games too. Zero the Blade says the problem is that this strike is making the wrong people lose money because the ones that should pay have nothing to fear. Multiverse DM says the problem is you have to know how to strong arm these egomaniacs with federal law. It's game over. They tuck tails and run. So work under the video game contract includes a great deal of performance capture, where trained individuals many of whom are stunt performers, provide digitally captured performances used to give expressive movement to video game characters, the Guild said. Unregulated use of AI poses an enormous threat to these artists' professions. And I had not thought about the video game side of things, and SAG-AFTRA also having a contract with video game companies until I saw this article. And it makes sense, but it's not something I had thought about. In addition to AI protections, SAG-AFTRA says it's seeking the same wage increases for video game performers as those who work under the film and television contracts. 11% retroactive to expiration, and 4% increases in the second and third years of the agreement necessary for members' wages to keep up with inflation. The union is also asking for on-camera performers to have the same 5 minutes per hour rest period that off-camera performers are entitled to. The Guild wants a set medic present when stunts or hazardous work is performed, just like on a set or television set. Prohibitions against stunts on self-taped auditions, and vocal stress protections. Duncan Crabtree Ireland, the Guild's national executive director and chief negotiator, said the voice of the performance capture artists who bring video game characters to life deserve a contract that reflects the value they bring to the multi-billion-dollar gaming industry. Voice and performance capture AI are already among the most advanced uses of AI. The threat is here and it's real. Without contractual protections, the employers are asking performers to unknowingly participate in the extinction of their artistry and livelihoods. The Guild noted, and this is important here, the Guild noted that a successful strike authorization vote doesn't initiate a strike. Instead, the strike's authorization permits the national board to declare a strike if the video game companies fail to negotiate fairly with SAG-AFTRA for the benefit of its members. The union is fighting for the protective language in the contract that will require informed consent and appropriate payments for the creation and use of digital replicas and for training AI systems with our members' performances. Andrew says, I guess with self-taped auditions, it's been an escalating situation where candidates are willing to do more and more risky things to land the job. Read in the local paper about this. I guess that is it. Like, again, there was a lot in this that I had not thought about until I read this, but I think that's an interesting one too. The Guild wants prohibitions against stunts on self-taped auditions. That's probably, yeah, the escalating situation that Andrew is talking about. That it's kind of the arms race, the level of outrageousness arms race, whether that's a race to the top or race to the bottom, whichever way you want to think about it. That's probably the case that, hey, you got people, hey, I want to audition, send in an audition reel, and people are probably getting more and more outrageous with the kind of stunts they have to perform for an audition, or are willing to perform. And then probably other people feel like, well, gee, I have to do that too in order to keep up. So that's interesting. There's a lot of things in this that I didn't think about. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen because over here, so here was this is going back to the WGA. The WGA strike. And so this particular thread of X posts, you might call them tweets, but I call them X posts, about the situation with the WGA. So Drew, I don't see, we can see what this person says. Drew McQueenie, causally optimistic, potty mouth, film nerd 2.0, Netflix's Vor, Masters of Horror, 80s all over, Fear Itself, Cato for Life, read my newsletter, he, him. Writers Guild on strike. That's that symbol in his profile right here. So he says, he tweeted out or X posted, man, I'm not going to lie. This strike is kicking my ass, and this is the WGA strike. I'm all in for solidarity, but there's a very real chance that I'm going to break personally. I am struggling. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here because I don't know what Hollywood's like going to be, if there's going to be a Hollywood to go out to, in a year, if I go out to California, there may not be a Hollywood to go out to. It may be completely changed as a result of this. But people are talking, but there's a lot of other writers who have written in about how this strike is not particularly going well for them on a personal level. I'm feeling this. Excuse me. I'm feeling this. I'm running through my savings. I've been applying to non-industry jobs, but no one wants to hire someone likely to jump ship once the strike ends. And it's nearly impossible to write when all you can think about is how you're going to pay the bills. It's rough. I am not alone. So he tweets himself. You guys made sure I know that. We are infinitely stronger together. We are going to win. WGA strong. But let's see. This person says, this is what studios planned from the beginning, that people would become financially and emotionally strapped by the fall and the, did we figure out a way to say this acronym? AMPD? Would try to use that to break ranks and chip away. The WGA needs to push the top end to their membership to keep morale going and heads above water. So this is a deadline article. I don't see a date on this. But to do so, the studios and AMP believe that by October, most writers will be running out of money after 5 months on the picket lines and no work. I was wondering that. Actually, a friend of mine did write me about some writers being able to get loans through the WGA to cover themselves, that there's some type of banking arm of the WGA, which I also didn't know about, and he didn't know about either, but he was like, I just found out. It was listening to somebody talk, and they were saying they were able to get some type of loan through a banking arm or banking agreement with someone with the WGA in order to cover this, because I can completely believe this. So we are like probably at 130 or 140 days or something like that of this strike. I can believe there are a lot of people who are running out of money and are really feeling a lot of pain right now. The end game is to allow things to drag on until union members start losing their apartments and losing their houses. Especially if you're trying to live out there in LA. A studio executive told Deadline. Acknowledging the cold as ice approach, several other sources reiterated the statement. One insider called it a cruel but necessary evil. The studio and streamers next think financially strapped writers would go to the WGA leadership and demand they restart talks before what could be a very cold Christmas. In that context, the studios and streamers feel they would be in a position to dictate most of the terms of any possible deal. And we were talking about, I think it was coming up, I think it come up on the stream, that this is impacting more than just the writers, because obviously other people are not able to go to work either. And then there's a cascading effect through the economy. Right now in California and that local area. So there's a cascading effect of people who can't work because the writers are on strike. This person says, just got the letter that I'm losing my WGA health insurance next month. I'm just $2,000 away from the minimum. I'm in this for the long haul, but I'm exhausted. Like, how long is the long haul? If you haven't seen me out, if you haven't seen me out on the line as much in the last couple of weeks, it's because of this very thing. This person writes, been a hard run these past 120 plus days, and I've needed to just sit back for a minute and recharge. I'll be back out next week. Lynn says, I don't have a lot of confidence that Hollywood will continue its present form much longer. Technology has changed, and the paradigm is obsolete. See, Daniel, you do hear a lot about that. Daniel says, I'm one of the people saying that writer quality has dropped in recent years, but the little people are really being dragged down by this. Yeah, it seems like, and I haven't spent a lot of time like looking on X or other social media for people's comments on this, but it's relatively easy to find comments. It's like, well, they're on strike because they want more money or something. And I think all the TV shows that they've been putting out have been terrible over the past few years. So, oh, well, if it goes away, I think it appears to me, my appearance, the appearance it is to me is from the PR perspective, from the public PR perspective, the Writers Guild does not appear to be winning this either. That it seems like there are a lot of people who, I think we mentioned this as well last time, don't even understand why royalties are a thing. I was reading a discussion on Reddit. This was a little while ago, but if I could find that, they really didn't understand. The people in that Reddit thread really did not understand why writers or actors receive royalties anyway. And so they had a completely wonky take on this, I thought, because they didn't even understand why a writer would get a royalty. And so they were like, like they were saying, if I fix somebody's, car air, if I'm a mechanic and I fix somebody's car air conditioning, they pay me for the work in fixing their air conditioning. They don't have to keep paying me royalties every time they're driving their car around and using their air conditioning. So so writers don't need to be having royalties either. And there were a lot of people who agreed with that line of thought. And I was thinking, okay, from the public perspective and the public PR perspective, they're losing this because there's so much about this that the general public, I suppose this is actually everything, but there's so much that the general public doesn't understand. James agrees with that. Lynn says, yeah, the whole writers and actors are just the visible tip of the employment iceberg. So this person says, it's hard, y'all. I've hit multiple walls. Some days I don't really get out of bed. The mental toll. I can't find work part. I guess it's part-time because no one's hiring striking writers. Don't let theme days and food trucks fool you. It's a lot. And still, we win. This community is so fucking strong. If we're being honest, 4 months in, I've hit a wall multiple times, emotionally, financially, physically, and mentally. I want to be back to work so desperately. And it's fuck amped. And the CEOs who refuse to negotiate with us, we want to work. And Cameron was talking about a friend of his who's facing divorce because his wife is not happy that he's not working and not supporting the family. Because he's on strike and the writers are on strike. So, I mean, there's all kinds of family ramifications for this. I mean, I can believe that. If you're writing and then you had a job and then, okay, the guild membership says we're going on strike. So you dutifully go on strike. Now here you are many months later and you haven't been able to provide for your family. Yeah, I'm sure that's pretty stressful. I mean, there's on your family situation, on a lot of people's family situations. I mean, and that sucks. And I can completely see that. If you're, whether it's the husband or the wife, if you're the one who is running the family because through writing for TV or film, and then, okay, now for many months you're not. Stressful, a lot of personal stress. Meanwhile, Warner Brothers released that Zaslav and other executives are getting raises, even though they're losing the company $500 million this quarter alone. Remind me, who's the selfish one in this fight? Let's see. Roswell, New Mexico. Oh, I wonder if this is somebody that Cameron knows. Alana's on strike. Says, I want to be back in the writer's room so bad, and I'm mad at every single amped person who's stopping us. Feeling this in a big way. I'm lucky to have family to help me with bills, but my savings is completely gone. As much as the strike is fucking me, though, I want it to succeed. Fuck the amped for bringing on this hardship and even more for needlessly prolonging it. Yeah, it's trickling down as well. A lot of the people I do editing, a lot of the work I do, editing, cinematography, even photo shoots are on hold. Photo shoots, since most of the people I shoot are creatives who don't have the extra income to do shoots. It's rough. So that's part of the trickle down effect. I had just sold a movie, then strike. I used my car payment to enroll in bartender school to try to hold me over until the strike ends. I won't let money or lack thereof break me. As long as my mental and physical health hold, I shall hustle on. But I've cried a river. I mean, this is pretty brutal. These are some pretty, I mean, the brutal personal face of a strike, this writer strike enduring this long. Dude, yes, I'm months behind on bills and my student loans are starting again. I'm feeling like a dancing monkey in the commercial auditions that won't hire me. And the trolls on Twitter are calling me entitled and lazy. I've been very vocal about how mentally taxing the strike has been on me, on my writing, on everyone I know in life. I found a new wall that I slammed into today returning this rental car. It's like really fucking tough right now, but we will win. I believe that in my heart. We will see. It's like from hearing Cameron's perspective, there are things that the WGA are demanding that he thinks is a no-go and will never be agreed to. So that's why Cameron and his circle are like, what is like? There are legitimate issues, but then there are also things that are being demanded that will never work, and that they're saying you've got to give up on that. So I don't know. We will see. Yeah, for how much longer? Multiverse DM says waiting tables in LA pays more than professional writing, $1,000 in tips. Playing guitar on the beach now gets $200 a day also. Michael says, I think the writers have a point, but I also think they are actors, writers, directors, studios, corporates are wrong. They are the authors of their own collapse. Daniel says, I don't think this strike will win. They've lost in the court of public opinion. And that's very difficult to dig out of. This life seems to be kicking everyone's ass lately. You are seen, and you're not alone. Check in on your friends and check in with yourself. Don't shield your feelings from others. There's strength in numbers. Hang in there, Drew. DMs are open if you need a friendly ear. You're not alone. I'm still absolutely sure this is a worthwhile fight, but it's breaking my heart to see the industry and the people I love struggling, and I'm definitely growing more fearful by the day. I've been watching Hollywood a long time. What is happening now is completely unprecedented. Please don't give up. Chili? If something doesn't give soon, I'm going to have to go back to the retail during this holiday season. It's that bad. So somebody's saying, pay your writers. They have families to provide for. This is cruel. So there's a lot of this. But I thought that was so this person, I've had to go back to a job I swore I would never go back to. I feel stressed in a way that I haven't felt in years. But I know what we're doing matters. I mean, I don't know what else to say here. Daniel says that's a very nice line. It feels like everyone I've talked to is emotionally crashing these past 2 weeks, myself included. It felt like we were close. There seemed to be, about 2 weeks ago or something like that, or close to that. It seemed like there might have been a breakthrough, but then that didn't go through at all. Definitely the hardest part of the strike so far, but we've got this. Feel this. I can't even feign positivity right now. "100% this. I never thought the industry would beat me. I knew that was what I was getting into, was ready for the long haul, but this strike has been the tipping point. Currently applying to law school. If anyone needs an entertainment lawyer in 3 to 5 years, I think it's hit me up." There's no way. I mean, it can't possibly not be changed. The industry can't possibly not be changed by this, because you've got the big time writers who will be fine, and then they'll get other contracts. But there's a lot there can't help but be a lot of people, I would think, that are completely not able to endure this. And of course, shows can also be canceled. That was part of the studios taking the opportunity because of the strike for the force majeure to cancel a bunch of projects for whatever reason. So it's not like if you had a job before the strike that you're going to walk back into your TV show at the end of this. You might, some people will, but other people will not, because in the interim, your show got canceled anyway. So there's absolutely may not be a job to go back to whenever this ends. I'm very much applying for retail gigs right now, trying to get front desk work. It's strange, but it's real, and we're all in this together. I can only imagine what 4+ months of picketing feels like. How can we viewers, fans, comrades support you all to go the distance? And some people were saying, well, what I'm doing is I'm canceling my streaming services. Speaking of which, I did not get to watch Ahsoka episode 4 yesterday. I was trying to take care of yard work yesterday, and I'm still not done. I got taxes and yard work, and I didn't get to watch Ahsoka. But some people, speaking of streaming services, I need to do that, though, because like I said, Doug said that it was an 8 out of a 10. So we may have to see what's going on with Ahsoka, which is no. I trust Doug's reviews. So if he says that the show is getting better and he's now at 8 out of a 10, I would pay attention. But some people. But the point was, some people are like, well, I'm canceling my streaming services because of this. But some people are like, please don't do that. Some of the striking writers were like, please don't do that. Because if everybody goes and cancels Disney Plus or Netflix or whatever it is that you're watching and enjoying, then that only puts the studios in a position to be like, see, nobody's subscribing anyway. There isn't any money out there. So they asked to not do that. And so I guess this can only this is all about the writers, but I'm guessing this only gets worse if SAG-AFTRA strikes on the video game side of things too. How long can that whole industry have large segments of people who just do not work? Like, how long can that endure? Anyway, that's kind of a depressing thread. Andrew says, I feel like locally there's still support for the strike, but I might be in my own bubble. So that could absolutely be the case. I mean, I can completely believe there's a geographic difference here. If you're there and you're being impacted on second order economic impacts, I can but if you're connected to the industry and you understand issues about like why someone would get royalties, that why the situation might be difficult. PH says the general public being against the movie industry workers is a symptom of lack of class consciousness. Hey, Tomocrat. Welcome. Zero the Blade says, I don't get why we can't do things the Asian way with strikes where you do get your job, get paid, and then hand it out for free so the higher up takes the hit instead. Yeah, no kidding. Fight Twitter wars at your own risk to your own health. Yeah. All right. Well, that's what's going on over here. I think I got started late today, and so I think we're just going to have a short episode. But we'll continue to see what goes on. So who knows if this is going to head into the video game industry as well. Very interesting stuff over there and issues that I hadn't thought about. Apparently, there seems to be no end in sight for the WGA. So it seems like there was some hope, but now it's lost. So I don't know. I don't know. Streaming is so cluttered, Robert says, that time is on Hollywood's side, I think. Yeah, the fact that like we have so many streaming services, I can't even keep track of them or possibly even watch them all is a problem. Somebody did a breakdown on how Netflix should have been treated as a format. I thought this was very interesting. It's been a while since I've seen that, and I forget where it was. But basically, it was talking about the person was making an argument about format wars, the history of format wars. But everybody went on board with VHS. For instance, VHS distribution was completely a thing for everybody for a long time. And then DVD distribution was completely a thing for a long time. And then we had a format war between HD DVD and Blu-ray, which Blu-ray won, I suppose. But by that time, also streaming was coming online. So Blu-ray. And then when streaming came online, it was all about Netflix, because Netflix had started. So everything was Netflix. And that Netflix, this person was arguing that Netflix should have been considered its own format and have everybody get on board with Netflix like that had been done originally when everybody was licensing material on Netflix. I remember when it used to be the case that you could watch a bunch of stuff on Netflix, because if you wanted to watch something, it was on Netflix. Like everything was on Netflix. And then years ago, that started to not be the case. That like I was like, well, why are we paying for Netflix here? Because everything we want to watch, every time I want to watch something, it happens to not be on Netflix anymore. But if everything had been on Netflix, you would have put everybody onto a streaming service. Everybody sign up for Netflix. Then all of your studios would have been able to contract out and then not have to run their own streaming services and not have this proliferation of streaming services. But that Netflix should have been treated like VHS and DVD. That's the format. We put things out on the Netflix streaming format. I thought it was a very interesting argument. And that the division and fracture of the streaming services have seriously hurt. Michael says, I canceled most of my streaming services long before the strike because the show's movies sucked and I couldn't share IP I love with my kids. Tomocrat says, difference from VHS Blu-ray versus streaming is that all the money going to Netflix and people wanted their cut. Right. But their cut, see, the argument that was being made there, yes, you're right. The argument that this other person was making, I mean, they could be wrong, but the argument they were making was that their cut needed to be the licensing of the movies or the TV shows or whatever, that their cut should have been the licensing fees, not their cut being, we're going to establish our own streaming services and try to get people to subscribe. All right. Well, I have got to finish taxes and I have got to finish getting the yard under control. Otherwise, I'm not even going to be able to walk through the yard. So I am going to get out of here. I hope everybody, short time today, but I really enjoyed having this conversation. This was another great conversation with everybody. And it's an important conversation going on. Yeah, no. So they also, I'm completely, this is one of the things, Andrew, you're talking about that I completely am on board with all the writers and such. When they're talking about, Andrew says they don't release the numbers from the streaming services, which is much more Hollywood accounting. At least ratings and box office receipts are generally known. Right. And so you could calculate things like royalties correctly and things like that. But the streaming services are black box. And I think that's a huge issue. And so that would be part of the things to strike about or things to be concerned about on the good side of things, because you're absolutely right. The black box of the streaming services just is not working. The studio just says, trust us, right? But there's a bunch of Hollywood accounting going on there. Very likely. Anyway. All right, everybody, please have a wonderful day. Be creative, be constructive, and grind on. I will talk to you soon. Later, everybody.